moments to share with you his thoughts on the true hero of the day. Please welcome Paul.
Private First Class Daniel Dolan was excited because he had joined the Army. He was going to be all that he could be. At a young age of 19, you know how you were. You're going to conquer the world. He takes his trip over to Iraq. And his first trip out, he gets hit with an IED. An improvised explosive device. He loses his life. Marine Corporal Jordan Pearson had been there before. He knew what this was all about. He was familiar with the sound of gunfire and mortar fire. So why would today be any different? He had just turned 21. He had seen some of his friends die. Little did he know that today was his turn. Navy Chief, Petty Officer Paul Darga. He had been around the world. He had seen a lot. He had served many tours of duty. He was on shore today and he received a call saying some of his fellow servicemen were in trouble. He jumped into his Humvee along with some of his fellow soldiers and drove to their rescue. Little did he know that as he was driving, he would drive over an improvised explosive device. And he too would lose his life. As you have guessed, I am talking about the true heroes of the day, are our servicemen and servicewomen. These are people that, as Denise reminded us, we are to remember on Memorial Day. But I would like to submit to you that they are true heroes every day, not just Memorial Day. These are men and women who serve our country for our freedoms, for our enjoyment. They go through things that we have no idea. Most of us, at least, there are some here who have served overseas and in different armed forces that do understand what they're going through. But for the majority of Americans here, we get up, go through our daily routines with absolutely no idea what they go through. As Denise stole a little of my thunder this morning, which is quite okay, she gave you a primer on what Memorial Day was all about. In May 5th, 1968, General John Logan, this was shortly after the Civil War, declared that we should have a Memorial Day for all the fallen soldiers. Everybody thought it was a good idea, and on May 30th, New York, the only state, had an official Memorial Day. All the other states did their own little thing. By 1890, all the northern states were celebrating Memorial Day. The southern states refused. But that's okay. After World War I, they realized that it was a bigger issue than just the fallen soldiers of the Civil War. That there were soldiers in many wars who had given their lives for the entire country, for the entire country. And they started to also realize that this was a Memorial Day for all soldiers. As Denise mentioned, at the National Holiday Act of 1971, it became a national holiday. But that was really a disservice to this holiday because it became a 3-day weekend. And this 3-day weekend became a party weekend. When you were thinking, oh boy, here comes Memorial Day weekend, what are you thinking? You're thinking of boating, you're thinking of barbecues, you're thinking of getting together with friends, you're thinking of parties. You're not thinking about the real reason for Memorial Day. She read a poem that I'd like to repeat to you that was written by Monica Michael in 1915. There's some real significance to this. As she was looking over a battlefield where some soldiers were buried, she noticed a lot of red poppies that were blooming up. They were resplendent. And she penned this poem that I'd like to read to you. We cherish too the poppy red that grows on fields where valor led. It seems to signal to the skies that blood of heroes never dies. And from that, she started making paper poppies as a memorial to the people of that battlefield. Well, a lady, Gertrude from France, came over and saw what she was doing and thought, what a wonderful idea. And she took that back to the European nations. Now, today even, as you're going out through Memorial Day, you'll see veterans handing out or even selling little paper poppies. This came back from 1915 as a memorial to the fallen soldiers that were buried on this field. Now you know. Sergeant Tara forward. Stood alone in the dark in the Kuwaiti desert, carrying a rifle that was almost as big as her. As she sat there in the dark, she goes, is this worth it? I sleep in sand, I eat sand, I have sand in places I didn't know I had. And then she thought of her family back home and said, yes, this is worth it. I'm happy to say that Sergeant Tara Ford came home, for she is my daughter.
Oh.
I am proud of my soldier. In 2000, Congress came up with this idea that on Memorial Day, everybody, no matter where you are, at 3 p.m., take 3 minutes to observe in silence, listen to taps, or however you would like, to think in praise of not only our fallen soldiers, but those who came home and who are still serving. I challenge you to remember and to praise, when you see them, the true heroes of the day. Thank you.